thought we could start off just talking about what the Horniman is.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's the Horniman, right?
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah. So take us away, Jamie. How are you today?
So yeah, I'm going to try and turn this up as loud as possible. We're right next to the main road, so it's a bit noisy. But okay, so we're here in London, in the UK, southeast London, and I'm Jamie Craggs, the aquarium curator at this place, the Horniman Museum and Garden. So I work at a museum, but the museum has a public aquarium in. It's a very small aquarium, but there's been an aquarium here for about 110 years, well, about 114 years now. So the first aquarium was put in 1903, and it's had 4 different changes in those 114 years. And the most recent one is the one that I curate. It's very small. I can sprint around it in 12 seconds. But what I'm hoping to show you is size isn't everything. We can do an awful lot of cool stuff in a small space. The aquarium was first put in 1903, and the thought is that the owner of the museum, a guy called Frederick Horniman, he was a Victorian tea trader. He made his millions at the time trading in tea, had tea plantations all around the world. But he had a fascination of world cultures and natural history. So he had members of staff all around the world at these different tea plantations. And he basically instructed them to collect specimens, whether it was musical artifacts or specimens for taxidermy. And he then heard about this amazing thing called an aquarium. So there's this guy called Philip Henry Goss, and he is the godfather to all of us. He, in essence, he invented the word aquarium. He wrote the first aquarium book in 1854. And so Frederick Horniman heard about Philip Henry Goss and instructed that an aquarium get put in the museum. So it was built in 1903, and like I say, it's gone through 4 different changes. So that nod to that history in our new or newish aquarium is opened in 2006. We've got a section dedicated to Philip Henry Goss and the sort of pioneering work that he did within the aquarium industry. Okay, so the current aquarium, which is sort of the 4th iteration of it, has a broad theme of local to global. So it shows geographically correct habitats from different areas of the world, focusing on not just British seashore and British ponds, right the way through to Fijian reefs and Amazonian rainforests. So the idea is it's showing lots of different habitats, both freshwater and marine. And really the vision of Goss was to create windows to nature. He wanted to give people the opportunity to see the world, I suppose, but within a glass box. So we've tried to hold true to that premise. So like I say, the theme is local to global. The aquariums are designed with young families in mind, so lots of low aquariums to allow access to really small children, 2-3-year-olds upwards. And the first section is dedicated to Philip Henry Goss, and he was a Victorian naturalist. Like I say, he wrote the very first aquarium book in 1854, and he had an amazing knowledge of how to keep animals, marine animals, temperate marine animals, alive for a long period of time. And bear in mind, this is Victorian era, no running water, no electricity. This guy really understood the role that different animals play in maintaining an aquarium. So he had the right balance of detritivores and algae growing, acting as filters to remove nitrates and phosphates. It's phenomenal, really. And you read his book, he had a really engaging way of writing as well. So this first section is dedicated to Philip Henry Goss. In the front cover of that 1854 book was a pencil drawing of what's called a parlour aquarium. It was made out of mahogany with glass, and so the first aquarium that visitors come to in our aquarium is a replica of that drawing in 1854. And it sort of is a nod to the history, both the connection of the history of the museum to the aquarium industry or the aquarium trade, but also, recognition of this man's input over time. From that point, we then move through to British pond, So we've got 2 British pond displays. One is for amphibians, showing the native amphibians, live plants in there, and the other one is sort of a more coarse fish. It's pretty dull, this aquarium, but you know, it shows the coarse fishermen the kind of fish they like. And then we walk through to the drifting section, and this is where jellyfish are. So we've bred, I think, 9 species of jellyfish. We do all this behind the scenes. And then we rotate the species. We've only got 1 display tank, so we rotate the different species that we display. A new section that we've just, or not section, but a new revamp that we've done is Coral Seas. This is it's very much in its early stages. There's a lot more development needs to come with this. It's going to be eventually a full SBS reef display. For the moment, we've just got the fish in, and we're sorting out the water chemistry. So this used to be a British coastal display. It wasn't really designed to be a reef system, so we're retrofitting it. But things like the calcium reactors have gone on recently. We're improving the phosphates, and slowly, once the water chemistry is right, we'll then start introducing some frags, and then once they're established, we'll get some big colonies in from behind the scenes. Seahorses. So seahorses, I mean, the public really likes seahorses. They're kind of one of a must species for a public aquarium. These guys are getting a bit long in the tooth now. They're not breeding anymore, so we will look at restocking this display probably in the next 6 months to a year, and re-establishing a breeding groups in there. And then round the corner we've got our Fijian reef display. So this is sort of representing a kind of a typical reef type of habitat. The long-term plan with this is we're going to hopefully redevelop this to focus probably on the Great Barrier Reef will be the section we want to look at. And then either side we've got what we call focus tanks. So the idea is the theme of these can change just to keep the interest levels up. So at the moment we've got a fluorescent coral display, and then the other one is focused on Project Coral, which is our behind the scenes research that we do on coral spawning. Then we've got an Indonesian mangrove display. So at the moment this is running at the front with the AI lights, and on the back metal halides. But we're going to be swapping over and running the whole thing on AIs in the next month or so. So we've just got to schedule that works in to get that sorted. So we've got 2 species of mangrove, Rhizophora mangle and Avicennia germanins. So these 2 are really interesting actually from a husbandry point of view of mangroves. So what we know about Rhizophora is it's what's called a salt excluder. It actually stops salt coming into the plant, and it does that at the roots. Now from a husbandry point of view, it's really important to know the difference between salt excluders and salt excretors. So our Rhizophora are salt excluders, and our Avicennia are salt excretors. Now for Rhizophora, the husbandry, you have to maintain your magnesium level. If your magnesium level drops, the plant can't maintain its osmotic potential at the root. It lets more salts in at the root. So what people that get mangroves and often find they dehydrate or aren't having success with them, that's the first thing to have a look at is the magnesium. So if you keep the magnesium level high, the plant can maintain its osmotic potential, and then that stops dehydration of the plant basically. Whereas the Avicennia, which is a salt, the Avicennia is a salt excretor, that allows salt to go into the plant, but then releases the salt out of the stomata. So what's really important with this species is to rinse it down regularly, to simulate those rains that would wash the salt down and off the plant. So we just do that every day by sprinkling them, hosing it down with RO and just mist the plant, and that washes the stomata down. And this one, this plant they grow pretty slowly, mangroves. The Avicennia, I think I've maybe had 3 years now. What's really cool is this started flowering during the summer this year. It's the first time I've seen this flowering, and it's actually self-pollinated. And we've got some seeds right here, which is that's really cool. Seeing the seeds developing, and they're getting bigger and bigger as the weeks go on. They've still got way bigger to go. They're probably the size of, I don't know, my thumbnail. They've got to get to about the size of a golf ball before they'll be ready to pick and plant. Then we've got our Amazonian rainforest display. So we've actually just got new fish in for this because the stocking density's gone down a bit low. So they're in quarantine at the moment. We generally quarantine all of our new livestock for at least 40 days. It goes through a whole series of different treatments to polish up and get rid of any potential parasites and things like that.
Well, that's a great overview of the exhibits that you have in the front, and I think it's fascinating. I mean, I've certainly really enjoyed my time coming to see you at the Horniman over the summer last year, and hope to make it back in the near future to check it out again. So that was awesome. Very interesting. I love the Horniman. I really enjoyed seeing it myself, and definitely one of the highlights of South London if you make it over there. So thank you so much for showing us, and thank you for all your time and energy with us, Jamie.
Thanks a lot, Jake. I'll see you next week, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
Cheers.